we were put into slavery. We were beat into submission, and the person that we looked up to was the slave master. So what you have to understand, a lot of black people in America look at themselves through the eyes of the slave master. We feel the same way that they feel about us. We want the same things.
There have always been laws that would pit African-American people against other African-American people. During slavery, they had a law called the Meritorious Manumission Law, where African people would get rewarded for turning in another African slave or turning in a person who wanted to create some type of rebellion or runaway slave. So there were all types of incentives to give African-American people for turning on each other.
We know that the first full-time FBI agent in American history, black agent, was actually hired to infiltrate the Marcus Garvey movement, working under the supervision of J. Edgar Hoover to destabilize it.
African-American people are the only people who are rewarded for turning on other African-American people. You don't see that with other people in the dominant society. You don't see Latino people being rewarded for turning on other Latino people. You don't see Asian people being rewarded for turning on other Asian people. But if there are African-American people who are willing to talk badly or negatively about other African-American people or throw other African-American people under the bus, they get book deals, they get TV shows, they get radio show deals. So there are all types of rewards and incentives for African Americans to throw other African Americans under the bus. And this comes directly from slavery.
You know, at one time, the black man had to grin and smile all the time. Everything, it didn't matter what. You had to keep grinning, keep smiling. That was to show all of the white people that you were not hostile and you was a happy Negro. You wasn't mad about nothing. No matter how I've been treated, I'm still happy.
In the history of America, there have always been compromising black people who would do things to compromise the rest of the community. And there have been several names historically for black people who do things like this. The sellout, Uncle Tom, Mammy, Coon, I mean, all types of names utilized for people who will compromise the rest of the black community.
You can't be born a coon. No, you have to practice being a coon. Practice grinning, practice bucking your eyes. Yeah, it's hard work to be a coon.
Mm-hmm. Well, that man is just wasting money.
From coon to tycoon.
The United States Army Office of Intelligence hired a black man by the name of R.R. Moon. This is gonna blow people's minds. Booker T. Washington's vice principal at Tuskegee Institute was a paid undercover intelligence officer for the United States Army, whose job was to spy on Booker T because they were concerned that he was using Tuskegee, and they were correct in their suspicions, as a hideout for black revolutionaries away from the Klan and away from the government. We know that the man who infiltrated Malcolm and served as one of his security men, Gene Roberts, was an agent, and then after he brought Malcolm down, he goes and brings the Panthers down. So they used him again after, because nobody knew who he was yet. So they was able to use him again, and then he brought down the Panthers.
There is one thing that we have to be dealing with, and that is the issue of total emancipation and liberation of our people. And if that's not the deal, then you're not part of the solution. And so we have to look at this very carefully, and we have to let folk know, whatever they may be, with all those minorities, if we all came together, we would understand we are the majority. But as long as we are divided, we will be conquered. And as long as they can play one group against another group, whatever it may be, whether it is the internal Willie Lynch syndrome or whether it is a cultural Willie Lynch syndrome, we will always be controlled, contained, and dominated by the true minority.
And stuff to clean up, okay? Try to relax. Breathe.